Hello and welcome back to Learn the Bible in a Year for May 17th, 2026. Today is National Walnut Day. And when I say walnut, I don't mean any nut that you buy at Walmart. I mean the specific type of nut, the walnut, which I think is one of those sneaky nuts that finds their way into things like cookies and salads and brownies. I think that's a disaster. You should just eat the walnut or you should leave it out of my desserts. But that's just my opinion. Today in our readings, we're going to see how Ruth's story moves from survival to redemption through some careful family negotiations. Then we jump into Jesus' conversation with a man born blind and his teaching about spiritual sight and the Good Shepherd. And we'll finish with the Psalms that reminds us where true rest and hope comes from. Packed episode today, so let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right into it. By chapter 3 of Ruth, the story shifts gears from hardship to a hopeful plan for restoration. Naomi, who is Ruth's mother in law, instructs Ruth to approach Boaz, a relative of Naomi's late husband, at the threshing floor after the barley harvest celebration. The threshing floor was an open, elevated area where grain was separated from chaff. It's a communal and somewhat public setting, but also a place where important family and social customs could be enacted. Naomi's plan is for Ruth to signal to Boaz her request for him to act as a kinsman redeemer. This role involved a relative stepping in to marry a widow to preserve the deceased husband's family line and property. It wasn't about romance or flirtation necessarily, but about legal and social responsibility. Ruth follows Naomi's instructions carefully. She waits until Boaz is resting after the harvest work, uncovers his feet, which is a gesture that is open for interpretation but generally understood as a respectful appeal, and asks him to redeem her family by marrying her. Boaz responds with honor and respect. He praises Ruth's loyalty to Naomi and her noble character, knowing that she has not pursued younger men but has kept her integrity. However, Boaz explains that there is a closer relative who has the first legal right to redeem the land and to marry Ruth. To protect Ruth's reputation, Boaz sends her away before anyone else can see her there and gives her a generous amount of barley to take back to Naomi. This action shows Boaz's care and discretion. Chapter 4 moves the story to the town gate, the public place where legal transactions and business deals were made in ancient Israel. Boaz gathers the town elders and the nearer relative to settle the matter of redeeming the land that belonged to Naomi's family. Boaz first presents the offer to buy the land, and the man initially agrees. But when Boaz adds that redeeming the land means also marrying Ruth, the Moabite widow, the man declines. He is concerned that marrying Ruth might jeopardize his own inheritance because the child born would carry the deceased man's name, not his. With the nearer redeemer stepping aside, Boaz publicly declares his intention to redeem both the land and Ruth. The elders witness the transaction, which includes a symbolic removal of a sandal to confirm the deal, a customary legal practice of the time. Boaz then marries Ruth, and she bears a son named Obed. And Obed becomes the grandfather of King David, linking his family, history, story to the larger royal lineage of Israel. This narrative highlights how family loyalty, legal customs, and God's providence intertwine. All right, and then jumping into the New Testament, we're in John chapter 9, the end of it, and we're going to be in the first part of John chapter 10 as well. But in John 9, we pick up right after the healed man, the one that was born blind, who now sees, has been cast out by the Pharisees because he testifies about Jesus. Now, Jesus finds the man and asks if he believes in the Son of Man. The man asks, "Who is that?" And Jesus reveals himself more clearly. The man responds with faith, worshiping Jesus as Lord. Jesus then uses this encounter to teach about spiritual sight and blindness. He says that those who claim to see but reject him are actually blind, while the man who was physically blind now sees both physically and spiritually. The Pharisees overhear this and realize that Jesus is speaking about them, which intensifies their opposition. Now, jumping into John chapter 10, we continue with this theme, and Jesus uses a shepherd imagery to describe his relationship with his followers and contrast it with false leaders. He begins by describing a legitimate shepherd who enters the sheepfold by the gate, not by sneaking in. The shepherd knows the sheep personally and calls them by name, leading them out to pasture. The sheep recognize his voice and follow him, but they flee from strangers who try to enter illegally. These strangers represent thieves and robbers who exploit rather than protect. Jesus then shifts the metaphor, saying that he himself is the gate of the sheepfold. Anyone who enters through him will be saved and find pasture, but those who come by other means are thieves. He emphasizes that he came to give abundant life. Next, Jesus calls himself the good shepherd who lays down his life for his sheep. This is unlike the hired hand who runs away when danger comes because he doesn't truly care for the sheep. But Jesus, by contract, is willing to sacrifice himself. He also mentions having other sheep not of this fold, indicating a mission beyond the immediate Jewish audience. Ooh, big cliffhanger there. The crowd listening is divided. Some accuse Jesus of being a demon possessed or crazy man, while others point to the miracle of the blind man who was born blind that Jesus healed. This chapter highlights the ongoing conflict between Jesus and the religious leaders by contrasting exploitative leadership with the shepherd imagery Jesus uses for his own mission. All right, we're going to finish up by reading Psalm 62, verses 1 through 12, and it goes like this. Truly, my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will never be shaken. How long will you assault me? Would all of you throw me down, this leaning wall, this tottering fence? Surely they intend to topple me. From my lofty place, they take delight in lies. With their mouth they bless, but with their hearts they curse. Yes, my soul, find rest in God. My hope comes from him. Truly, he is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress. I will not be shaken. My salvation and my honor depend on God. He is my mighty rock, my refuge. Trust in him at all times, you people. Pour out your hearts to him, for God is our refuge. Surely the lowborn are but a breath, the highborn are but a lie. If weighed on a balance, they are nothing. Together, they are only a breath. Do not trust in exhortation, or put vain hope in stolen goods. Though your riches increase, do not set your heart on them. One thing God has spoken, two things I have heard. Power belongs to you, God, and with you, Lord, is unfailing love. And you reward everyone according to what they have done. Alrighty. What was your main takeaway from today's reading? My main takeaway was just the honorability of Boaz. I mean, it's easy, I guess, to look up to certain people in the Bible, but also many people in the Bible are just scumbags. So it's not good to look up to them. But I like the way that Boaz handled the situation. He wanted to honor the family, but he also honored the proper means of being able to honor this family, and that's something that I can take away and apply to my own life, especially in the business that I run, honoring my family and honoring the people that work for me. So, good takeaway for me. But what was your main takeaway? I would be curious to know. Put that down in the comment section wherever it is that you listen to this podcast. And that is the end of the episode for today. And I will see all of you cool cats again here tomorrow.